Hello, there we go. Hey, there we go. Hopefully you can hear me. Yes, OBS is recording my microphone this time because I turned it on. Always helpful. Sorry about that yesterday. So we're going to do the return flight from Mallorca back up to Manchester. So here we have the flight dispatcher in BA Virtual. We're in the classic 707-300 again. Estimated flight time of about 3 hours, depending on the winds, but we'll have a look a bit more in detail. And I'm going to take you through the full setup, including all the INS stuff. So hopefully this can act as a bit of a tutorial for anyone wanting to get into the classics and you know, struggling with the INS, because it's a bit of a learning curve not having a flight computer. So here we are. So it's a bit windy over in Mallorca. Ceiling visibility is okay. Manchester, wind's a bit less, but still a bit blowy and reasonably scattered clouds. So yeah, not too bad, but a bit chilly. 8 degrees as opposed to 19. So we're going to book that flight, and we're going to head straight over to SimBrief. Now, I'm having problems with my keyboard at the moment, but let's see if we can make this work. So I can go straight into here and edit. And we are Speedbird 90804 for the return flight. So over to EG. Come on, work. Ah, you suck. But I think I blew up something inside my keyboard when I was playing about with the Raspberry Pi and stupidly tried to power it from my actual my keyboard's got a USB port on it. It's a pass-through straight from the USB hub, so it would have had plenty of power, but it probably wasn't expecting to pull 2 amps through it. And we're going to set the alternate as Gatwick, simply because landing at Heathrow is just a flipping nightmare in FSX. It just rips your frame rate. So here we are. Now, we're not capable of doing precision approaches. Well, we are, but not properly. So I'm going to take that off. The SIDS and the stars in there. I've set up the aircraft. The cruise profile's about right. The climb and descent is all wrong for this aircraft. I need to go in and actually tune it in SimBrief. But it'll get us there. It'll get us there. So that's the setup. So let's generate the flight plan. In terms of ATC, we have ATC in terms of London control, but that's it as things stand at the moment. Excuse me. Okay. So let's have a whoopsies. Oh, I've broken it, haven't I? Yeah, SimBrief seems to have this bug in Chrome where if you click it once. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it disables the route. But anyway, there we go. So, going to be cruising at flight level 36 initially, and then up to 38 when we pass Chala. So, I'm going to put this route into Sky Vector. Paste. There we go. Oh no, it's still got my old flight plan in there. How do I delete that? There we go, that's what I wanted to do. There we are. So we got the route in Sky Vector, which is useful because it means we can quite quickly see what VORs we've got so we can do our DME update. I'll take you through that. DME updates will be important. We can't do this route in a oneer without doing a DME update, and basically that is where you tell the INS exactly where the location of a particular VOR is. You tune into that, you get the DME, so the distance to it, you know your bearing to it as well, from the actual nav radio and the VOR calculations. So what the INS then does is say, right, I think I'm here, but I can't be here, I have to be a little bit off, because my bearing and distance means I've got to be somewhere exactly around here. So if it thinks you're over here, but the bearing and distance tells you you're here, then it updates the INS, reduces the error, and says, right, actually, okay, so I'm now here. Now that's really important. We don't have a GPS in this aircraft. And the INS drifts because it is done electromechanically. It's old school, so that enables us to bring our error back down. Now there is a maximum error we are allowed to fly on, and in the INS that is 60. Well, it's denoted by the number 665. So as soon as we go above that, we're in a little bit of a wobble because we're too far off course, or potentially could be too far off course. And I've had it before. I've done across the pond in the, I think it was the 747-200, and I thought I was just coming in sort of northeast of New York, and it turns out I was in North Canada. So to give you a bit of an idea, I thought I was coming down here, and I was actually all the way up here somewhere. Now that was primarily because I didn't have, on across the pond you don't have the ability to do a DME update because there are no VORs over the ocean, obviously. And when I keyed in my first one down here somewhere, I can't remember which one it was, probably St. John's, somewhere around there, I didn't pick it up. We were too far north to pick it up. And I was a bit, oh, okay, right, I'm over land now, I should have picked up that VOR, didn't pick it up, so I started keying in some other VORs thinking I might have come in south, didn't pick up any down this way, so I was over land, so I can't have been further south over Bermuda way, so I started keying in VORs, getting further and further north until I picked one up round about here. And at that point I knew how far north I actually was, a blooming long way. Thankfully I had plenty of fuel, and from there I basically navved myself old school VOR without even using the INS to get me back down into JFK or wherever I was going. I can't remember now, it was a while ago. But anyway, much shorter flight here, so Mallorca back up to Manchester. So let's first pre-file onto VATSIM. Just check that's put in correctly. Yes, it has. No SIDS and stars on there because we'll be doing non-precision. So that's gone in there, and then we need to download the flight plan. So that's in there like that. Okay. Next thing we need to do, plan converter. This converts an FSX flight plan into your SIVA INS cards. So I can import that. Yeah, it's all looking good there. So we then export that to our ADEU folder in SIVA, wherever you've got that saved, and Bosch will save that, and it tells you when to load in the next card. The only annoying thing, from my point of view, is it doesn't have a serial number here. So Mallorca's going to be position, or is going to be waypoint 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, then 7. 8 will be in, so therefore Latro, we're going to be loading into position 9. And from yesterday, if you're paying attention, if you're watching, I kept putting it into the wrong spot. And forgetting to put it in, but there we go. So we've got that there, that's now exported. Good. Let's load up Active Sky, because that doesn't auto load with FSX. Oh, my ears. And let's load in the flight plan into here. LEPA-EGCC, there we go. And so that's Active Sky happy. And now let's load up the flight simulator itself. Yes, I do want to load. No, I don't want new drivers. So let's go with some charts. Our first waypoint is Galat. Now we're not going to be able to do it. So let's just do it the easy way. Galat. What was the weather? Fetch meta 260. So we're going to be going off 24 right. So not that one. Not that one either. In fact, let's just scroll through Galats until we find a 24 right. And we'll find the SID that we're going to attempt to fly, because there's no air traffic on, so there we go. So we'll be flying out of Palma on a bearing of 237 degrees until 12 DME. At 12 DME we'll turn right, intersect the Andreysk, flipping heck, how on earth do you say that, NDB, and then from there we will vector out on 331 degrees until we intersect the 314 radial from Mallorca, which will be at point Galat, and at that point we can then turn the INS on. In terms of altitudes, runway 24 right, 273 per nautical mile, until leaving 200, so quite achievable in the 7.0 despite its poor rate of climb, so that's absolutely fine. And we'll be going up to 6,000 feet until Galat. Okay. See, this is where you see my keyboard not working. So LEPA-EGCC is that one there. Let's key in our flight plan. We're going to be going initially at flight level 360. Alternate is going to be Gatwick. Alright, so let's move that out of the way. And we'll find the 7.0 in the BA colours. There she is in all her classical glory. We'll load the flight plan into FSX. It's just the quickest way of getting to the airport. Now we parked on 118 from memory, which isn't on here. So let's go back to the charts. Let's duplicate that tab. Let's have a look at ground. So we're going off 24, what did I say, 24 right, 24 left, 24 right, so we're going off here, but this end. We parked up around 118, 119, so can we go for 24, 25, 26, something like that, so we're somewhere nearby. No, they're all smalls. We certainly need a heavy. There's gate 40. If I can find that on the chart. Need it on the chart because we need to know our position. 26, 29. and it goes straight to 50. Brilliant. Where's gate 44 then? Forty-four. That's it. I do have coordinates for it there. But where in it? Oh, there it is. It's there on Pier Charlie. Right. Well, that's okay. We can do that. We can take that. So that's all good. Now I'm gonna risk here putting in the fuel that SimBrief has given me, plus a sensible margin. So our block fuel is 19.8 tons, so let's take 25. So let's do 10 tons in there and 5 tons in there, giving us a total of 25 tons. Okay, payload. What did SimBrief work that out? Or what did SimBrief give us randomly, should I say? Oh, can I be bothered keying all them in? Can I, hell? No, risk it for a biscuit. Okay, fly now. So while that loads up, we've done the INS, we've got the charts that we want. In terms of our taxi, we're coming off Pier Charlie here, so we'll be coming up to Foxtrot, over onto the link, and then via taxiway north, up to Hotel 2 or 3 probably. Assuming I can actually taxi in the right direction this time. So I'm going to pull up that spy. So starting off down here in Mallorca, going up to Manchester up here. No air traffic to worry about, bit of a shame. But what can you do? At least we're in daytime this time. Vape Nation. Right, quickly get the parking brake on before we roll forwards too much. We're going to kill the engines because it keeps starting with the flipping engines on. We're going to connect the ground power. We'll open up some doors, wheel chocks, cargo door. We'll turn, no, don't want ground service, I want ground power on. And there we go. We can turn the turbo compressors off. Packs can come on because we've got ground air. Galley power can come on because we've got ground air. Equipment cooling can come on. We can turn the cabin heating on. Let's have a look at the overhead. Turn some lights on there. We're going to turn probe heat on, not that we need it just yet, but I'll forget later. We can turn heating on there. We can leave that on C. We can go to receive only. ADFs can come on, and I will straight away tune in the Andrates NDB, which is 384. Is that going to be on this one? Yes, it will be. Shot straight past it. Come on. Now FSX being FSX, you have to get it absolutely bob on correct. Obviously in real world you could be slightly either side of it, because it's analog. .384, and then after we pass there we'll be actually heading up after Gillat to Villanueva, which is 380. So let's have that on the ADF as well. Whoa, far off. 380. Okay. So that's that. Put some lights on there, and we'll put the engineer's lights on as well. So he's got something pretty to look at. We're going to turn the range down there. We're going to turn the Doppler there. We're going to flick the INS over there. Weather radar can come on to standby. Okay, so here we are. Interesting that the front cargo door didn't open, but never mind. Let's connect to VATSIM, and we'll fetch our flight plan from the server just so I know that it's actually gone through. We'll tune to Unicom 1228. Turn that light on. Turn that to standby, and let's start aligning our INS. So you need to do this before you start the engines. So there we are. Let's find LEPA-EGCC in all these flight plans I've got. Wowzers. JK. Guys, loads in Mallorca. There's that one. So we can load that in. That's read in. We're going to go to position. We're still on standby, and we're going to key the position in of our gate, which I'm going to pull straight off the chart here. We're on stand 44. So let's read that straight into here. So that's north 3933. Insert. East 2441. Insert. So that's our position in there. This doesn't matter. I'm just doing it. Makes it look pretty. And we can go to align. So this is our error. 95 is unacceptable. So at the moment, what the aircraft is doing is wherever it thinks we are in the world, and it's a long way off at the moment, it's going to go, okay, let's adjust that based upon the coordinates you've just given me. And that error will now start reducing until it gets to an acceptably low level, and the nav ready light will come on. At that point we can then start our engines. But before we do that, we're going to key in Mallorca, which is 1177, into nav 1. 177, that can go into standby. And then after that, we'll key in Barker, which is 1167. And then we've got a couple of things we can navigate with if we need them. Oh my Jesus. And that's on standby as well. Distance is 0 miles. We're not high enough to pick that up yet. I want that on the... Yeah, I want these on ADF. our initial is going to be 237. Which is around about there. So we haven't got an accurate, we can't do it to the exact number. And then then we're going to come out to 314 at Galat. 314 radial. Which is there. Right, we can see this is decreasing. We've got a battery warning light there, so we're going to have to start our engines fairly soon, because for some reason this isn't... Oh. Well, yesterday it wasn't either. It wasn't picking up the ground power. But while that's aligning, I'm going to grab myself a brew. So... bear with me and I will be right back. Doing right, IRSs are aligned. Okay. So back. Baby got back. Right. While that's aligning, then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to check the streams coming through. All right. Live streaming on YouTubes. Here we are. Come on. Oh, and I need Stream Labs up, and I need Stream Labels. Excuse me. Log in. Right, that's Stream Labels up. And that's Stream Labs logging in. Okay. I'm going to cheat in a minute and hit this little screw, which is immediate alignment, so it means you don't have to wait, because it can take quite a while for the IRSs to align. So I'm going to do exactly that. Click. And we'll see this start decreasing very quickly now. So there's below 65, so we've got the nav ready light. So, set my trim. Actually, no. Let's have the yoke up. Why not? Why not, eh? Okay, so we're good to close the doors. Which I want this. Main door closed, aft door closed, wheel chocks can come away and the rear cargo door can go. Front cargo door never opened, so the aircraft is now all sealed up nice. So, right, what do we need to do? We need to... It's annoying that I have to keep doing this. I should set up some shift keys, shouldn't I? Oh, mind you, the keyboard's not working up there. So nav's coming down. Might just let it get a little bit lower. Wow. Noise from the instrument coolings. I think it's the instrument cool. It is horrendous, man. Flight director can come. Oh, that's altitude hold. Yet we don't want that just yet. We will want heading hold when we get there. So that can come on early. And we can release the stabilizer brake. So we have full and free movement of the stab. Now we're in a 7.0, so we're going to be starting at least one engine on stand. And I'm going to go for engine number 1 here. So let's turn the bleeds on. Bleeds are on. Packs can come off. Galley power can stay on actually. The fuel flow valves can come on. Ground start can go to high pressure for the minute, and we will not start engine 1 because I've not started my POS rep. There we are. And we can flick that to nav. Got to do that before you start your engines up. And we'll go to ground start on engine number 1. And clearly we're low pressure today. Still not quite figured out which one that should be and when. Transponder can go to standby. That's fine, that's fine. This is all good. Awesomes. So good start on engine 1. We can now think about pushing back. Which way do we want to push? We want to push tail right. Beacon light can come on. It should have come on before we started. My bad. We can flick over to... We're on battery there. Can't quite see that. Want to flick over to Gen 1. Ground power can therefore come off. Bus tie. Oh, look at our accuracy, it's gone right down. That's fantastic. And now I can disconnect the external power and air. Good, nothing broke. It's always a good sign. And I think this comes to high pressure because we're now on an engine start, and we want to go tail right. So initiate pushback, release parking brake, and we're going back now. We'll start engine 4. Fuel heaters can come on before I forget them. These boost pumps can come off because those tanks are empty. No, we're still on a low pressure clearly. And the N1's spooling up, there we go. Okay, happy days. So there's runway 24 going up here, so that's where we'll be going. Good start on engine 4, so we can start engines 2 and 3 now. Can retract our lights. Don't really need that on, but I'm going to put it on anyway. We can stop the push there. Parking brake can come on. And we've got a good start on all engines, so the fuel can come to ground idle on here, and we can turn the ground starter off and turn the dome light off. No, we don't really want that on. Lights can come on. We're not going to need that anymore, so I can lose that. Can we get some flight attendants?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on board this Boeing 707. May remind you that your hand luggage should be placed in the overhead compartments. In the interest of safety, heavy bags or bottles must be placed underneath the seat in front of you, and all aisles and exits must be kept clear. If you do need any assistance, the cabin crew will be pleased to help. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as we are refueling the aircraft during Ladies and gentlemen, your safety aboard this aircraft is our primary consideration. Please refrain from reading magazines and newspapers. We will now show a short video demonstrating safety procedures for this aircraft. You will find a safety card in the seat pocket in front of you. Please study this carefully. Thank you for your attention and wish you a pleasant flight.
We can drop down to flaps 25. See how bad my taxiing is today.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a routine procedure that we dim our cabin.
No. So we're on our merry way. And yet again I've been caught out by FSX not being the same as the charts. So we're actually going towards the south taxiway here. So what we'll have to do is do a UE again. Oh my god, it's just not right, is it? I'll tell you what, we'll taxi going to 24, so we'll taxi down south and then we'll cut across. Nothing to see here, let's pretend that was all part of the grand plan. Yes, we pushed back from here, didn't we? So if we look at the charts, that means we must have been, hang on, let's get the parking chart. That means we must have been down here somewhere, where we should have been there. And if I was paying a bit more attention, I would have noticed that. Now, interestingly, we picked up the Palm and VOR there. So we'll swing a right, we'll turn left up the link, and then at the top of the link we'll turn right to get ourselves up to 2-4 right. Here's the link at Kilo. See, Kilo on here, just so you know I'm not having you on. Can I push that over to the side so I can still see where I'm taxiing? Sort of. Kilo is there, which joins south. Whereas this is definitely the link, so this is Juliet actually. Now, I am on default scenery here, so you get what you pay for, I suppose. So we go up to 2-4 then along the link. This will take us up to North taxiway. It looks to me like there isn't a north taxiway that goes all the way up to the hold, unless it's 2 runways here, which I think it is. So I think north used to be a runway. In fact, yes, because we saw that yesterday. It used to be 2-4 centre, but it's not used as a runway anymore. Not too dissimilar to Gatwick, I suppose. Although I do believe that is occasionally used as a runway if there's maintenance going on. Yeah, 2-4 centre. Now we've got no traffic for miles and miles, so I'm not worrying too much about Unicom. So controls are good. The local QNH is 1021, and I've cheated by pressing B and just confirmed that it has actually keyed in the right number there. And we can see, because we're not doing a DME update or anything, our accuracy is getting worse because the INS is drifting. That's what it does. And we now have someone on Unicom. So what I'm going to do is line up and take off 2-4 right. Who's the traffic? Ryanair 6363. No flight plan as of yet. So, gears down, flaps are down at 25. Lights are on. Radar's coming, Doppler's coming on, not that we're using it. Weather radar's coming on. Transponder's coming on. And we are good for takeoff. So, slowly bring the throttles up to about 80%. All engines stable. Full power. That's not quite full power because we've got to stay in the green. So I'm at about 80% on my actual stick there. 80 knots. .140 knots. Rotate. Bit lighter today. Positive rate. Gear up. We can see the stators in the engine there at the front. Quite a unique engine. Flaps up to 14. And autopilot can come in on heading hold with elevator disconnect. So I've still got elevator. Flaps up. And we're going to climb out on this heading to 12 DME. At which point we'll then turn to intersect the Andrix NDB. Hopefully on a course of 331. So that's this needle here. So when it gets to about 331, hopefully we'll be at about 12 DME, which puts us around about where we want to be. Can throttle back a bit. So as I mentioned yesterday, we can break the speed restriction of 250, being a heavy aircraft as it is. It's about 340 on the NDB there, so we'll start thinking about turning, and that's coming up to 12 miles now. Can't go above 6,000. Got to be at or above 2,000 when we start this turn, well above that. So, here we go. So, starting our turn to 331. Just around about there. Just keep the climb going. Trim for the turn. We've overshot this a touch. Should have started the turn a bit earlier. NDB needles around, coming up to 331 now. And we need to arrest our climb. We've just broken through 6,000. Again, wasn't quite paying attention. And when we get to 6,000, I can put alt hold on. pitch hold just to help us get down to 6,000. There's 6,000, out holds coming on. Speed's a bit better now than it was. Just to the left of the NDB, it's not too bad though, really. Just bring us right a smidge. Packs can come on now. Turbo compressors can come on. Galley power's already on, that's absolutely fine. All looking good on the engineers panel. Overhead, anything we need to do up here? No, not really. Waiting for that NDB to fall over to say we're on. Oh, the NDB's already fallen over, sorry, it's this one we're looking at. So if I turn that one off, there we go. So we are past that now. So let's turn back onto 331. Our INS is taking us to Galat, which is our first waypoint. We're about 8 miles from it. It's 42 from the NDB. That's all good. These can come to normal mode actually, they should have been on normal on takeoff. So we're looking for 51.3 DME from Palma, and then we know where we're at Jalat. You know what? I'm going to put us up into our climb now. So full power, well 100% on the N2. Just realised I forgot to arm the doors as well. And we're accelerating and climbing now. I'll enable the INS when we actually get to Galat. If I do it before, what's going to happen is, because it's basically created a straight line between Palma and Galat, so let me show you this on the chart. So we're coming up here at the moment, we're sort of round about here I would imagine. The INS is going to create a straight line from there to there, which is actually the 314 radius. So if I enable the INS now, it's going to turn right and then try and fly that line. Don't want it to do that. So we're going pretty quick here so we can increase our rate of climb. Four miles to go to Galat according to the INS. And once we're on the INS, we can think about DME updates and stuff. Yeah, because our nav accuracy is coming right down. So get rid of that because that's glitching and annoying me. Flight level 100. Lights off. We can go to standard pressure now as well. Could have done that a lot earlier, really. At the transition, of course. So we've got the 314 radial keyed into here. It's off to our right hand side as we'd expect, and when that comes dead in line, we know we're on that 314 radial, and hopefully we should be about 51 miles away. I think we're going to cut it short actually, so we've got a bit of wind. So again, if I show the chart, we're currently off to the left of the 314 radial, and when we hit that radial, when we intersect it, then the nav radio should, the nav compass should indicate that by a straight line. So we're about to hit it, but we're not at 52 miles, so we've hit it slightly early, so we're right of track. So I'm going to go on to localizer hold here, or VOR hold should I say, and then we'll fly that radial out to 51.3 DME, which should be exactly Galat. And that's Galat there, so yeah, so we can see we're on the right of it here. Struggling slightly to maintain speed, so I'll reduce the rate of climb. We are climbing pretty quick today because we're light. And the INS has just changed over, so we'll go to nav. So we're now on the INS, and I think we're just alright on the DME. So let's key in Barcelona, which was 167, into there. Got 50 miles to go to there. And what I want to do is key that into a blank waypoint, so we'll do waypoint 8. Now from Sky Vector I can see that the Barcelona and VOR is 41.18.7, north 41.18.7, east 2630, 2063, waypoint change 8, enter, insert even. And it's picked that up now. God, just as our accuracy hits the the inaccuracy hits the maximum allowable, so at 65 we're in trouble. But now we've picked up that that VOR, we should see that accuracy increase or the inaccuracy decrease. We are now inbound Rodra, which is just southwest of Barcelona before we hit Villanueva. So the VOR is now pointing towards Barker. ADF2 is pointing towards the Villanueva NDB, which we will overfly. So that's looking pretty good. Bit of wind correction, yeah, fine. That looks sensible. And we're climbing up to flight level 360 until Cavez, and then our step climb up to 38. Now Cavez is when we load, well, we load in the next card, and when we hit that final waypoint on card 1, that is Cavez. The speed is slowly increasing, so that's okay, so we can maintain this rate of climb. You see the nav accuracy is increasing, or the inaccuracy is decreasing, should I say, really. That's what it's actually showing us. Wow, that's loud, isn't it? Let's volume mixer, flight sim, let's crank that down a bit. That's loud in my ears. No, don't want that one. I want volume mixer. Turn that down a touch more. That's more reasonable. And I'm just going to set my headphones a little bit better here. Properties, advanced, spatial sound. Loudness equalization, there we go. Which appears to have now completely killed the sound for FSX. Oh, there we go. Oh, blimey. No, let's turn that down again. Good. Isn't she beautiful? Lovely aircraft. So, yeah, nav accuracy is improving. INS drift is improving. We can just see off the nose the coast of Spain. Barcelona's over here somewhere. There, actually. No, it's not. Barcelona's here. That's Baga over there. Girona over here. So Barker's down there. You can see our VOR needles pointing towards it. Villanueva, NDB. It's just slightly right of the nose. So it's down here somewhere. It's right on the coast. Wind 286, so it is a crosswind, left to right, 45 knots, which is why our nose is slightly left of where we're going, because we're turned into the wind slightly, so that our track is along the route we want to follow, rather than just pointing the nose at where we want to go and then drifting off because the wind's blowing us away. Past flight level 300 now. Still climbing nicely. Mach numbers increasing. What other sounds have we got then?
Hello ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck to the captain. Very warm welcome on board this Boeing 707 Very warm welcome on board. We're just about ready to push back from stand.
No, done that.
Ladies and gentlemen, Captain from the flight deck. Just a few minutes before we arrive on stand, and would ask please that you...
Ladies and gentlemen, we do have an allocated departure time to meet. Please locate and take your seats as quickly as possible.
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we are experiencing turbulence, the cap...
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we have now commenced our descent, which...
No. Oh well. So none of those are we're serving coffee and gins and tonics now. Never mind. Can't have everything. Bit higher so I can increase our thrust up to 100% again. So our throttles are now all the way forwards. She'll just help improve the Mach number, avoid any wing rock that might be about to come and bite us. Still climbing at a smidge over 1,000 feet a minute. Still on the first card as well. So waypoint 8 will be loading in card number 2. So when we're on 6 to 7, that's when I'll load that in. Don't want to load it in too early because it'll overwrite our waypoint for Barcelona, which has given us our DME update. 20 miles from Barca actually. More or less over the coast. In fact, we can see Barca down there, look. Let's get some nice views set up, shall we? Oops. We want Captain Sim. Where is it? 70. Public. So you can download these views in Chaseplane. Public. Oh, blimey, come on. Oh, that's quite a nice view. Right, let's explain some of these artifacts on the wing. So, first of all, let's save that. Right wing root. And then let's make that public as well. So, these little tabs here. Now, if we actually get a bit closer into them, we should see if they've drawn them correctly, which they have. They are slightly skew width to forwards. So forwards would be, let's zoom out a bit. So you can see they're on an angle. What each one of these is doing is, as the air's coming over it, it's getting turned slightly. But it's only the boundary layer. What's a boundary layer? Where the air is touching the surface of the wing, it sticks to it. And therefore it slows it down. So you get a profile as you move further away from the wing, or closer to the wing, or any surface for that matter, the actual airspeed reduces until you're actually touching the wing and it's effectively 0. Now that boundary layer increases in thickness as you come back. And the problem with that is, you should hopefully know that on any control surface or the wing or whatever, that the force generated is a function of the velocity squared of the airflow over it. So lift, as you double your speed, you quadruple your lift force. Now, oh, I should have saved that, shouldn't I? I thought we were getting a bit of wing rock. So go to Alt Hold. We're a bit early on this, on the full climb, but we'll take it. It's not too much of a problem. We're on 6 to 7, so I need to load the next card in before we start doing 180s. And that's loaded in now. Good. So that's 8, 9, 10. Sorry. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the next one will be on position 5, if I can do maths. In fact, I should be able to see that. 3, 6, 3, 7, sorry, 4, 6, 4, 7, 4, 9. So it will be position 5. Okay, so let's go back to the wing route. And get back to what we were talking about here. So, we know that the force generated by the wing, by the ailerons, by the flaps, by the spoilers, whatever it is, increases with the square of velocity. So if the airspeed right on the wing is 0, then the force generated by that 3D portion of air is lower, because the airspeed is reduced. So what does a vortex do? Well, as the air hits this, it turns, and because it then hits the free stream air in between these, it causes it to spiral, and we get a vortex, which is just a spinning spiral of air. And you quite often see it on the wingtips. Why? Well, underneath the wing we've got high pressure, on top of the wing we've got low pressure. The high pressure wants to come round the outside of the wing onto the top, so that creates a curve. We're moving forward, so that curve effectively ends up going behind the wing in a spiral. Now if the air is spinning, it's travelling further and therefore travelling faster. So if the airspeed is faster, we generate more force. Why is that useful? Well, we got our flaps down here. That spinning effect of the air increases the airspeed, therefore increases the lift force generated by the wing, and anything downstream of it, because that vortex is running over the back of the wing. So it's going to increase the lift produced by our flaps. When do we use our flaps? When we're flying slow. So it means we can generate more force when we're flying slow. I've just realised I'm still not in altitude hold, am I? Right, vortex gen. So let's save that. Let's pull up the autopilot. Let's get ourselves down to our correct flight level, and then we'll continue chatting about those vortex generators. There we are, alt hold. Alt hold can go on the there and that on there as well on the flight director. Okay. Right, vortex gems. Why is it also useful? Well, if this boundary layer is increasing in thickness as we travel back along the wing, what's happening? Well, the air is detaching itself from the wing at this point, and it creates turbulent air, which is not laminar, so it's not flowing in a nice straight line over the wing following this nice curve. It's bouncing about all over the place, and therefore not doing a great deal in terms of generating force, because it's going backwards, sideways, forwards, up, down, you name it. The vortex generators, as they create a vortex, they create quite a stable vortex, and it energizes the flow. It puts energy into it, it makes it spin, it makes it do stuff that is predictable. And because it's quite large, it goes into the free stream and drops back into the boundary layer, and it pulls air from the free stream over the top here down into the boundary layer and causes that air to stick to the wing better. If it's got more energy, it can turn more, and therefore it can stick to the wing more. Why is that useful? Well, when we're flying at low speed and coming in to land, for example, we might be at quite a high angle of attack, so the nose is quite high. So the tendency for the air to detach becomes greater. If the air does detach completely, we get what's called a stall. The wing stops generating lift, and then if we don't generate lift, we fall out of the air, quite frankly. When we put the flaps down, it increases the curvature of the wing, which means the air has to turn even more. So the tendency for that air to detach increases, detach increases, and therefore we can instigate a stall much earlier on. We don't want that to happen, that's bad on landing. So the vortex generators again excite the boundary layer, they help the laminar flow stick to the wing, and therefore prevent the stall occurring at lower air speeds. Not completely, but they give us a bit more to play with. So that's what those vortex generators are there for on the wing. They help reduce stall at low speeds, allow us to maintain a higher angle of attack, to put flaps out, to attach that boundary layer and prevent the aircraft stalling, or help prevent the aircraft stalling. They won't stop it stalling, but they'll allow us to have a wider flight envelope, as they call it. So let's have a look at that spy, let's see where we are. So we're well past Barker now, in fact we're a bit further on than that, I would imagine. Yeah, we are heading up towards Manchester, and we've got Tower just come on as well, 45 minutes ago. We've got London Control, we've got South Centre, so that's who we'll be going to first. We won't drop into London West because we're actually coming up the east side of England, up this way, over towards Trent, which is around here somewhere-ish. so we won't need to worry about getting handed off to him. Assuming London South Centre's still on. What do I want to do? I want to pull up that one and that one. That one there. There we go. Not using our ADFs anymore. We're in cruise, so our tilt can come to 0. Why have we got an alert? Ah, right, it's not picked up the next waypoint, so let's manually do that. 7 to 8. Is that going to reduce? No. 8 to 9. Ah yes, there we go, the heading bug's just spun round there. Okay, so we skipped a couple of waypoints there. Not sure why, we might have missed them so it didn't automatically tick over. Nav accuracy is still good, we're still picking up Barker actually. Let me just turn center screen off, there we go. So we can close those charts down. So we might want to think about keying in Toulouse. We're going to go right overhead that actually. So that's 1177. And that's on there. Now because this is a flight plan waypoint, we don't actually have to key it in. There we are. So if we find the waypoint on here, which is 4341, it's close enough. 117, that's close enough. Yeah, so it's waypoint 1, so we can do a DME update on waypoint 1. We should be able to. But it's not having it, so we'll key it in. Oops. DME north 43 41 2 east 118 actually 118. Oh, I didn't, and we picked up there, so that should keep our INS happy. What did I say we're loading the next card on? It's going to be 5. 286. So we've still got crosswind left to right. Only 50 knots, so it's not too bad actually. So we're now picking up Toulouse there, and that should get us across reasonable amount of France, and then we'll probably go for Goodwood again for the next one, which is on the south coast of the UK. Now, let's have a look at some charts for Manchester. So, I'm going to want that one, I'm going to want that one. And our last waypoint is Trent, which I think is the Dane arrival. Oh no, oh, Chrome's broken. Right, let's try that again. Chrome does this. If I have two Chrome windows open, it breaks. I've not figured out why it does that. There we are. So, yeah, so we come from Leicester, overhead Trent. Is Leicester actually on here? No, it's Elvos before then. I'm pretty sure though. Yeah, we're not coming in from the west. So it will be this one. In fact, what's Sky Vector saying? Do we go over Leicester? There's Hemel. There's Trent. No, Leicester's here. So we don't actually go over Trent. Sorry, over Leicester, but we do come into Trent. Well, that's fine, because we're on a non-precision approach here. From their Roddle. Hang on. So there's Dane. No, come on, click the right flipping thing, Simon. That's the Listo departure. And the Samba departure. It's Dane. Dane is here, so there's not actually a airway to take us to there. So what we're going to end up doing, if London North comes on, is we'll be asking for a vectored approach, because we can't do, well, we can do this actually. That's a lie, because we've got a VOR here, so we can follow the radial in and out. But we'll ask for a vectored approach, because it'll be non-precision anyway. And let's have a look what runways we're using. EGCC 8S, information Bravo, runway use 23 right. Okay, so 23 right, probably be using the Manchester VOR. Yeah. So if radar comes on, then it'll vector us round alongside the peaks here. If it doesn't, what we might have to do is the procedure approach. So we'll fly from Dane straight into the Manchester VOR. So we're overhead Manchester at 3,500. We'll turn right on a radial of 052 degrees, fly out to 12.3 DME, turn almost north, and then do a reasonably tight right hand turn to come back in on the radial of 52 on the inbound radial. So what's that, 8132, sorry, 232 degrees, so that's just 180 plus that, and then that would be us coming back in. We'll intercept the glide path at 10.3 DME, and from there we'll be able to descend in nicely into Manchester 23 right. So let's get that in there so I can see that. Lovely. Let's have a look at our fuel. So the centre tank's now empty. So actually we can turn that off. Oh no, we don't want that off. Do we? No, we want that on because we're coming out of the wing tanks over to 4, yeah, and therefore 1 as well. So we want these cocks open. Don't need the boost pumps on the centre tanks, it's empty, they're just going to burn out, although I don't think that's modelled anyway. Fuel temp's 20 degrees, that's good, cooling's on. These boosts are off. We're on Gen 1 there, battery there, we're on bus tie here. Now why are our aircon units overheating? It's normal. Turn that on, don't want the fuel dumps on, that's all fine, don't really need to worry about that. There we go, so we'll just keep an eye on that. So everything's coming along quite nice. Don't need to change cards yet. Let's have a look at some nice views. That's nice. I love the gear view on all aircraft actually. Oh, just slightly clipping that. So let's update that. Update. There we are. So we're chugging along here. We've got Papa Alpha Alpha 50. Who on earth is that? Is the livery going to give anything away? It's a 7-4. Let's have a look. List of airline codes. Papa Alpha Alpha. Come on, find Papa Alpha Alpha. That's not in my list of airline codes. Oh yes it is. Oh, Pan American. Pan American. And we've got IBE 9060. I always forget what IBE is. Is it Iberia? Why whatever he's just... Oh, we're out of range. IBE is, yeah, it says Iberia in Spain, of course, yeah. So yeah, we're just slamming it, Mach 0.83, which is probably a bit quick if anything. So I can just bring the engines back a smidge. And I'm just going to nip to the loo and grab myself another coffee. So I will be right back. there we go. So we're chugging along. Let's have a look at the map. Coming up the west side of France here. Or, well, south side still actually. And then we'll be turning over to the sort of towards the west side, coming up the west side. Crossing over from round about here, over into the UK, straight up there, then across into Manchester. So what else can I talk about on this aircraft then? Let's have a look. Got any other interesting artifacts? Probably not actually. No, not so much. These are the trim tabs here. This tiny little square or rectangle. When you adjust the trim wheel, it deflects that. Because that's quite far out from the pivot, it therefore deflects the main elevator in the opposite direction, which gives you your trim. We've also got one on each aileron as well, and I'd have thought we'll have one on the rudder, and we do. It's quite a big one there. So there are trim tabs. So we're still going a bit quick actually, so I can pull our speed back a bit more, throttle back a bit more, pardon me. Let's go for a pressure ratio of 2.0. Which is around about there. Oh, we have a Unicom transmission. Barcelona traffic over Sierra Lima, initial approach Alice Zulu, runway 25 right. Not a problem for us, of course. We're long gone from Barcelona. Who's that? RLA. Who's RLA? Oh, that's RLS. RLA is Society Airliner. Airliner, I don't know, it's French. Pronunciation of French is horrific. Never did it at school or anything like that. Did German. Now let's check our cards. We must be due a new one soon. No, not yet. 2 to 3. On 3 to 4 then we'll do it. So it's still 10 miles away. What's our accuracy like? Oh, our accuracy's mint. Still picking up the Barker VOR. Sorry, Toulouse, isn't it? We changed that to Toulouse. Well, we will lose it in the not too distant future. We're well past it now. So we can think about, well, let's try normally 1102. So 110.2. We're picking that up on the DME? Not yet. Might pick up Jersey 1122. No, we've not got Jersey yet either. How far away can we get Goodwood? It's a bit ambitious really, isn't it? 11475. And we've not got that either. But that's alright, we can fly without DME update for a little while. We'll keep an eye on the DME2, and when that kicks in we can then think about keying in Goodwood. Midhurst I think is a high altitude as well, 114 knots. I'll be amazed if we pick that up, there's still quite some distance to go. London South Centre's gone offline now. We've just got London West. We shouldn't be jumping into their airspace, I don't think. Back in a sec. Go. Get me some more vape juice. Vape niche. Have we picked up any of that? No, we haven't. Let's try. And yeah, 1 knots. It's easy. We haven't got that either. Amboise, we used that on the way out, I think, didn't we? 1137. That must be a long range. Yeah, it is. We've got that. So we could use that now for our DME update. Not that we need it. So we'll do that after I've punched in the next card. Manchester Tower's gone off. So as it stands, we don't have any ATC for the entire route. That's a bit of a shame. Now, let's have a look at this. Now the stab trim. I want that on normal, really. Come on, you can do it. Doesn't like it. Oh well, ignore. Just because the trim wheel's fighting it a bit. So, stab trim. Okay, let's have a look at that then. Let's go back to the tail. Let's go this way. So there's a couple of ways of trimming an aircraft in flight. For pitch, we can either use the pitch trim and then the then the elevator is on the cot the whole time. Which actually, as it happens, it isn't here. But that's not very efficient. It's much more efficient actually moving the entire surface. So you can see these little grey tracks here. So the entire stab will tilt like this, and you can see there's a few marks on here for its range. You quite often see a clean area where the stab's been moving. So in flight, what the autopilot will do is it will trim the entire stabilizer rather than just the trim tab, which is controlled by this wheel here. And then you can have the elevator perfectly flush with the stabilizer, which is nice and aerodynamic. And the entire stabilizer, because it's huge, only needs to move an absolutely tiny amount to trim the aircraft, which means the air doesn't have to turn as much, but you're moving more air, so the force remains the same. So force, Bernoulli's equation, that's what it all boils down to in aeronautics, is half rho v squared SC, where half is a half, so let's ignore that. Rho is your air density in this case, which at sea level is 1.225 from memory, kilograms per meter cubed. V is your velocity, which is squared, so your force is proportional to your velocity squared, which we've already talked about. V squared. S is the area, so if you have a bigger wing, it's got more area, therefore generates more lift. Simple as that. When your flaps come down, you'll quite often see on modern airliners and stuff that the flaps actually move backwards and down. The reason for that is because then it increases the area of the wing, not just the curvature. And C, so if we're talking about the lift on the wing, it'll be CL, or C subscript L, which is the coefficient of lift for the wing, and that's a function, amongst other things, of the wing shape. So a more curved wing will produce a higher CL, so that multiplies against everything else and increases your lift force. If it's your stabilizer, it's the coefficient of lift for your elevator or your stab or your rudder or your aileron, whatever it is you're actually looking at. So they're all different shapes. So that means if we move the entire stabilizer, which is huge, that S, half rho v squared S CL, increases, but the movement of it reduces, so therefore the coefficient of lift reduces, because the angle that it has, or the angle of incidence with respect to the oncoming air, its angle of attack effectively, is lower, but because S has increased with respect to just moving the elevator, then we can generate the same force for a much lower angle of attack change of the stabilizer compared to quite a large angle of attack change of the elevator that's got a much lower CL. So that's a little bit of a crash course in aerodynamics there, basic aerodynamics. Cards 3 to 4, so let's load in card number 3. Click. Which will actually take us all the way to Trent now. There is a 4th card, but it is Trent to Manchester. We won't need that because we'll be able to do that on the nav radio by just using the Manchester VOR. So we won't need card 4 now. And in position 3, when we flick over to the next waypoint, that's where we'll key in our next DME update. So where are we at the moment? It's sort of Bordeaux region, are we? Cognac. So yeah, just a bit higher than the centre left side or middle left side of France. There we go. Bear in mind this is slightly rotated, so tilt your head. So I'll tell you where we are from our cards. So we've not gone on to card 3 yet. We're inbound ANG, A-N-G, which is Agen Goddenville. And then after that we'll be going up towards Hemel. Oh no, so Ang is Angers, or Angers. And then up from there towards Hemel. And Dickrow, is that on there? Oh sorry, yeah, Dickrow first and then Hemel, which is of course Hemel Hempstead. Well, I'll say of course, I assume. Interestingly, we're not actually flying a airway there. We're actually doing a direct. So let me show you that on the screen. So we're inbound Angers there. So as we've seen, Angers. We then go up to Dickrow, which puts us out into the English Channel. And then from there, you'll notice we're not actually following an airway. You'd have thought we should be. Go away. But we're not following an airway as it shows us on our chart there. Yeah, and we've got a direct. That's interesting. I wonder why it's done that. Should really have put us on upper mic 184, which takes us through Tel2 and then over towards Hemel. So we're following the airways. I wonder why it did that. Bit weird. See if we can pick up Jersey 1122. We can get Jersey. Therefore, can we get Goodwood 11475? Other way. 11475. Not yet. So we won't bother with the DME update for whatever it was we were looking at. Amboise, that was it. We'll wait for Goodwood to come online. Now, have we got any NDBs that we can use in Manchester? Not marked on the charts. What can SkyVector tell us? Oh, we've got Woodford, of course, which is 380. I think we've got 380 keyed in. We have on ADF2. So that'll come alive. That'll at least give us another thing that points towards where we want to go. Roughly. So we've lost Toulouse now off the NDB, which is why our nav accuracy is reducing, our INS accuracy is reducing, because it can no longer do DME updates from there. And we'll wait for Goodwood. Should be fine. I mean, you don't need to have a DME update all the time. And then Goodwood should really get us all the way up to Manchester then. Well, all the way up to Trent, at least. Or near Trent, and then at that point we don't need the INS anyway. Got an aircraft 1,000 feet below us, off the nose. Which is TAP in Portugal. Which is... what's their actual airline name? Oh, I'm sure I just saw it. TAP, no, that's BAP. Close. TAP Portugal, Air Portugal. He's at some serious angle of attack there, isn't he? So that's because the air's thin. So your density is low. So if you're, remember half rho V squared SCL, you need to generate the same amount of lift to counteract your weight. Your weight's not changing, so well, reduces slightly as your fuel burns, but let's say it's not changing, therefore to maintain a decent or the correct amount of lift when you fly higher up, so your density is reducing, so that rho number is reducing. You need to fly either with a bigger wing, well that's not possible, faster, that might be possible, half rho V, S, or increase your CL. A couple of ways of doing that. You can put your flaps down, but that also creates a ton of drag, which is not very efficient on fuel burn. Or you can increase your angle of incidence or your angle of attack with respect to the oncoming airflow. That increases your CL, so therefore the equation will balance again. And he's just off the nose, so let's see if we can have a look at him from the tail. Here he comes. We're actually going to get reasonably close to him. Got RVSM, so we can only be separated by 1,000 feet or 1 flight level. Sorry, 10 flight levels. see us there breaking the 4-mile rule. It's the first aircraft we've come reasonably close to. So he's gone right to left, so we should be over there somewhere, but it might not render, which it hasn't. Ooh, it's an escape slide. Ah, no, we've picked up a DME there. No, am I still on Jersey, or did I actually key in Goodwood? 11475. 1475. Okay, so we can key that into nav 1 because that's where it needs to be to do a DME update. We can pull up the control unit there, we can go to waypoint, we can right click 7 and then DME, right click DME, and we can key in the coordinates for Goodwood, which are north 50,518, west 0 degrees 45.7, insert, it's near the coast, so I'll assume the elevation's negligible, and we'll do a waypoint change to 3, and it's picked that up. The nav wasn't too bad anyway. And again, we should see that start decreasing as our accuracy improves, or our drift reduces. Getting towards the UK now, so I'm going to turn the wing anti-ice on because it's chilly. In fact, so let's get a METAR for Manchester, EGCC. So winds are 210 degrees at 8 knots. Visibility is all the 9ers. Scattered clouds at 4,500. Temperature is 10 degrees. Wow. Was it 19 in Mallorca 2 hours ago? 7 degree dew point, so no fog to worry about. And a QNH of a 904, so still in a low pressure over the UK. That's why it's a bit crummy weather. So let's put the sound back on. So we're looking good. We're at about 87-88% N1. Turbine pressure ratio of 2.0, near enough, giving us a Mach of 0.81, which is pretty good actually. A little bit quicker than normal modern airliners fly, smidge quicker. So why do we not fly? So we know we don't want to fly at the speed of sound because you get a shock wave and that's like hitting a brick wall. So you need a lot of force to break through that. Once you're through it, you're all right. You don't need as much force then. But to actually get through that sound barrier, to break through that shock wave, you need quite a good hit of power, which this aircraft does not have. But why do we not fly at Mach 0.99 then? Almost that's it, but just before the shockwave forms, so we're going really quick. Well, let me explain. Let's look at the wing again. So, we've got the airfoil of the wing. Air travels faster over the top surface, slower over the bottom surface. Therefore, faster moving air has a lower pressure. Therefore, relatively speaking, we have a higher pressure under the wing, lower pressure above the wing, so that pushes the wing up. Simple as that. sort of in layman's terms, that's pretty much what's going on. You can test this with a bit of paper. It says not having one. Let's take the bit of paper here. So this is our wing. It's just a sheet of A4. Now if I put faster moving air over the top compared to the bottom, the faster moving air has got a lower pressure, so therefore the paper should rise up. So let's do that by blowing over the top surface of the paper. He says. It's detaching, typical. So the curvature of this paper is too high, so let's try it here. Wow. There we go, that's better. So the curvature was too high, so the air was stalling, so it wasn't actually doing it. So let's shorten the page here. So that works quite well there. If I blow over the bottom of the wing, it does the same thing, but that's just brute force and ignorance pushing it up. Whereas that is just laminar airflow, which is low drag and requires less force. Where am I going with this? Well, if the air going over the top of the wing is accelerating, therefore it's going faster than the air travelling everywhere else. If we were at Mach 0.99, the air then accelerates over the top surface of the wing, it's going to go faster than the speed of sound. Because it's accelerated. It's already at Mach 0.99, it's now going a bit quicker than that, so let's say Mach 0.1, Mach 1. It'll actually be a little bit quicker than that still. So we're going to get a shockwave form on the wing. We don't want that, because as we know, you've got to push your way through that shockwave. It's like a brick wall. That's hard to do, therefore it creates a lot of drag. What you find, depending upon the shape of the wing and therefore how much the air accelerates over the top surface, is you have a maximum speed before the air going over the top of that wing breaks the sound barrier. Now on old aircraft, on older wings like this, it's not capable of having that shockwave, so you travel as fast as you can before the air over the top surface goes supersonic. Modern aircraft, things like the Airbus A380, the Boeing Dreamliner 787, they can actually travel quite quick, Mach 0.89, something like that. And at that point you are getting a shockwave on the top of the wing. But the wing is designed such that we call it a supercritical wing. So a critical wing is where the shockwave forms. Supercritical means that we can go beyond that, which pushes the shockwave back down the actual top surface of the wing towards the trailing edge, and it is designed such that the drag penalty for that is not so severe that we don't want to do it. That's a load of high-speed aerodynamics that I don't want to go into. Lots of wings are supercritical. Things like the Vulcan was a good example of this. So that has a triangular wing, but if you look at the leading edge, there's a little bit of a kink and a little wing fence, so like a vertical plate. And what that does is that stabilizes the shockwave. So the shockwave will form at that point. If it forms at that point, every time, we can design for it being there, and we can ensure that the drag caused by that is minimal. Simply due to the design. On a wing like this that's got a straight leading edge, that shockwave could form anywhere, so we can't really design for it. Concorde very typically had a kink in it, although it was softened by making it a slight curve. So that was able to handle the shockwave, and the slight curve actually is there as well to generate a vortex when you're at high angles of attack, like those vortex generators that we saw on the wing earlier on. A kink in a wing which most supersonic fighter jets have as well, or they'll have some sort of artifact on there. It will generate a vortex which trails, massive vortex, this is not a small one by the vortex generators, massive one that travels down the back of the wing, the top surface of the wing from front to rear, and that high speed air, V squared, generates a lot of lift at high angles of attack, which is why Concorde came in really nose up, very pronounced nose up attitude, without stalling. Now that was actually post stall, so the wing had stalled, but because of this vortex it reattached, and actually didn't fully reattach but generated enough speed in this vortex that it was able to generate the lift. So the stall wasn't a snapping point, it didn't go from lots of lift to zero lift, it just gradually tailed off. So it meant we could fly the wing post-stall. Do a bit of a wiki on Concorde's wing and you'll see a nice picture of that happening. A nice little schematic. There we go, nav accuracy is good. Look out the window, I can see sea over here, bit of land here, curving round there, so we're coming up to the top side of France, I would guess. Jersey's going to be down here somewhere, we're keyed into that, that's 90 miles away, so yeah, so sensible distance away, but not too far. Well within glide range of this aircraft. London South is now online, so expecting to get a contact me from him not too far into the future. 129425. I won't key into him yet though. Oh, fake nation. Here we are. So about to change over to the next waypoint. So that was 5, which is Dickrow, and then we've got this random direct where we're not following an airway. Very weird. So we'll turn right then, head over Goodwood, Midhurst, west side of London, Surrey area. I think it was Goodwood we keyed in, which is showing here on our direction needle, direction indicator. Now I've got an ADF keyed in. Woodford over near Manchester, but not at Manchester. That's not kicked in yet, that's still showing 0. That won't kick in until we're a lot closer. Range of an NDB isn't great compared to a high altitude VOR. Oh, Charles de Gaulle ground is on. It's publishing an ATIS as well. Weird. Shouldn't be doing that. He's not an air controller, so he cannot control runways, therefore he cannot publish an ATIS, which would indicate which runways we're using. So we're not far away from London airspace now. We're over the sea. Coming over the channel, about halfway over that, we'll come into London airspace. London Centre, I mean. Not the London TMA. So I'll get my pen and paper ready. Scribble down everything we need. Hopefully he's not going to start giving us random directs and things that are really difficult to do when you haven't actually bothered to print out your cards and your route. Just doing it on my third monitor here. Come on. Send me, contact me. According to that spy, we're now in his airspace. And there it is. 129425. What we calling him today? London Control, good afternoon. Speedbird 90804 with you, flight level 380, inbound Hemel. No, I can't hear him. Why can't I hear him? Why is that not coming through? Oh. Let's just check that that went in. 3267. Yep. No, can't hear it. This is very odd. Audio. Let's go with. London Control, Speedbird 90804, radio check please.
Speedbird 980, London Control, readability 4.
Readability 4, I've got you 5, thanks, Speedbird 90804.
Right, thank you, welcome aboard and maintain level 380.
Maintaining 380, Speedbird 90804, cheers. There we go, right, so for some reason it wasn't coming through my headset. Not quite sure why, but I V-Pilot to put it out on the speakers now.
You just passed it, it was 412, but you can taxi right on to Victor and plan 414, that's totally fine with me. Yeah, for some reason GSX was now 412, so I'll go to 4.
Hope you can hear that coming through and it's not blowing your eardrums too much. Let me know if it is. Now, why is my YouTube viewers thing not working?
EG2018, I believe I'm leaving your area about 5 minutes ago. Would you want me to change frequency? Which station was that? About EC2018? EG2018, correct. EG2018, you're leaving my airspace anyway, so you can run a Unicorn 122.8. Unicorn 122.8, thank you very much for your service. Cheerio.
It's EG2018 going from London Luton down to Gibraltar in an Airbus A320. Lovely approach into Gib if you're coming in on 09. Nice tricky one, non-precision.
5, 7, well then, good afternoon. You are there to Miami, Kempton 3 Foxtrot departure, 27 right, squawk 4177.
Excuse me.
American 57, good to Miami, Kempton 3 Foxtrot departure, runway 27 right, squawk 4177. American 57, we'll be back correct.
So I'm going to key in the Manchester VOR now, 11355. And hopefully we can 107 miles direct go. Ooh, East Mids Tower's just come on, it's joining us. So we can get an idea of how far we've got to go to Manchester. So that gives us an idea for our top of drop, which I want to be about 100 miles. 6 miles from Goodwood, which I've got keyed in on nav 1. Flipping out, that's loud. Yeah, let me turn that down.
Upper 5 is fine, that's give a nice rough thing. So nice rough target from Alpha 5, runway 27 right, to take us to the surface wind 250 degrees 20 knots.
So we're still hauling us, Mach 0.81. So I don't know what the critical speed is for this aircraft actually. It's not something that's typically published. You normally just get a max cruise speed, which will be a margin of error below the critical speed. And as we explained before, critical speed being the point at which the faster airflow over the top surface of the wing goes supersonic. Creating a shockwave, loads and loads of drag, we don't want that. This is a reasonably low lift airfoil. Oh, and I've got someone at the door. Be right back, troops. Goodies from Amazon. See what we got. Oh, it's like Christmas all over again.
133 degrees 27 miles 27 left. Descend altitude 4,000 feet. QNH has been 990.
So we've got some of that, we've got some of that, we've got some light bulbs, so boring, and yay, got another one of my, little wireless keyboards. These things are great. So I've got this for my Raspberry Pi because the one I've got already is plugged into my Magic Mirror. If you don't know what a Magic Mirror is, it's awesome. Smash it into Google, have a quick look. They are really cool. Dead easy to set up actually on the Pi with an old monitor. So little keyboard, looks like that. You've got a nice little trackpad here as well, so you've got mouse, and it's got a laser on it as well. It's pointing out his face. That's a stupid idea. So you might be able to see the laser there. Whee. So it's quite useful as a you know, a presenter. So, idea with this being that, oh, that's quite cool, is that you can just plug it straight into your Pi and it's so I'm just listening to traffic, and then you can initially set up your Wi-Fi and then you can SSH into it. This is quite cool. So the charge lead now has a USB socket on it, so you can charge this by USB, but you've still got a USB port to do other stuff. And then the little dongle, it's tiny, you just plug that into your Pi or your laptop or whatever, and it uses generic drivers, which is really handy. So you can plug it into anything, Windows, Linux, whatever. It just works. 104 miles away from Manchester.
1330, continue left turn heading 050 degrees.
Oh, it's a bit bumpy.
Ladies and gentlemen, we do have an allocated departure. Ladies and gentlemen, as we're experiencing turbulence, the captain has switched on the seatbelt signs.
I would turn on the seatbelt signs if they were actually in the cockpit of this aircraft. But there aren't any. Roger.
Super 90, Alpha Tango, turn left, heading 090 degrees. Heading 090, speed 90. And Super 90, Alpha Tango, climb flying level 290.
So we are slightly moving away from Manchester at this point. Just check our fuel state. Yeah, we got loads and loads, so that's cool.
3124.
So, right, let's key in Trent, 1157. Over to Unicom, thanks for the ATC, have a good one, speed of 9804. Back to Unicom then, 1228. So we've got Trent keyed in on nav 1. Going to be on a radial of 132. It's probably quicker going this way. Which is actually 212. So actually I want to key in 212 because we'll be going on to it after we pass it. I should have kept going the other way, shouldn't I? Come on. 212, and our accuracy is good, so I'm not even going to bother using Trent as a DME update. We'll look at the waypoints though. Trent is 530314. must be getting... Well, that's not where we are. That's wrong. We're north of London. So this is a sharp left turn. So that's us overhead Hemel. So if I pull up our map, so this is that sharp left turn over to about 330, which I think is what we were going to, 300-ish. And then that will take us over towards Trent, but we go via Buzzard, yeah, and then Welling. So actually we might have missed Buzzard. Are we going to get it? Oh no, we did. We just got it. Just turned tight enough. Up towards Welling, which is sort of near Daventry Way. Akupa, Timpu, Elvos, which is just west of Leicester. Just to the left-hand side of East Mids. So I'm going to start our descent now, actually. So disconnect, reduce power. What else can the captain say?
Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Captain from the flight deck. Just a few minutes before we arrive on stand, I would...
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we're experiencing turbulence.
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we have now commenced our descent, would you please return to your seats and securely fasten your seat belts? Please ensure that your seat backs and tables are in the fully upright position for landing and that your window blind is fully open. Passengers seated by the emergency exits are now requested to clear this area of any loose articles.
Oh, lovely. So bringing our speed back first. Now, because our speed has reduced, the v squared term is reduced, therefore we're generating less lift, hence why we're descending, even though I've not changed our pitch. So our CL has stayed the same. But I'm going to start bringing the nose down a touch, so we can not maintain our speed by reducing our pitch. So don't want to slow down too much. Now the Trent radial is 312, of course it is, because we can't flip in add up. And this, we should be on it pretty much. Not far away. Now we have got an EasyJet near us who's coming into Manchester as well. Who's that? Easy17. Sleazyjet, there he is. So we're descending, sensible rate there. And our charts say we should be more or less on that radial. That's pretty much what this airway follows. But we'll pursue just a little bit longer until we get to... What are we on at the moment? We're on 728, 9. So we get to waypoint 3. So waypoint 3 is Trent. And at that point then we'll fly the radial. And just a quick reminder of the charts. So we're not coming over Leicester actually, we're coming in slightly further south of that. We'll hit Trent. We'll then fly the 312 radial towards Dane. And basically, actually, we'll ignore Dane because we won't have knowledge of that. And we'll fly straight up into the Manchester VOR. Overhead Manchester, we will turn right onto a radial of 052, out to 12 DME, 12.3 DME, turn north-ish, fly a bit out there, do a procedural right turn, in fact slightly tighter than a procedural right turn, to then intersect the inbound radial of 052, which will then put us on the ILS. Or onto the localizer at least, because we don't have full ILS in this. So 50 miles. Speeds come back nicely now. Probably increase our rate of descent a touch. Let's get it down to 2,000 feet a minute. There we are. 1 mile away from the next waypoint, which I think is a Cooper. 9 to 1. 3, 2, 1. 9. Yes, it is. It's a Cooper. Clear that so you get a better view on stream there. Lovely. So we're winning. Let's hope for another nice landing. And we landed at Mallorca last night. A touchdown of 75, which is far too gentle actually. You don't want it to be too light because your speed brakes might not auto deploy. However, in this aircraft we don't have auto deployable speed brakes, it's all manual, so it's gentle isn't too bad at all. There's no auto brake, there's no detection of when you've hit the ground, so that's not actually an issue in this aircraft. Now our decision height is 371, no it's not. Cat D aircraft, Cat 1 approach 186. So let's put that on the radio altimeter. Right about there. This light will then light up when we hit our minimums. And that's when we've got to decide whether we're landing or not. And after that we're more or less committed to landing. .36 miles to go. Speed is back nicely. I'm going to pull the speed back a touch, or the throttle back a touch more, just so we don't get there too high. Although I have a habit of actually coming in low in this aircraft over and being overly pessimistic of the descent rate. Transition is 5,000 feet, and we'll be going on to, let's check the latest weather. Is it going to do a dot? No, it's not. Keyboard's knackered. EGCC 230 degrees, 12 knots. Visibility's good. Few clouds at 4,100, broken 4,800. 10 degrees and dew point at 7, QNH 984. Missed approach, go around is 3,500, which is also the intercept altitude for the glide slope. Not that we have knowledge of that either. So get that ready. Waiting for the VOR to fall over. That'll tell us we're overhead Trent. Won't be far away, somewhere over East Mids, I think. So, oh yeah, so waypoint 3 is Trent, so 4.5 miles from there. Still quite high. So let's bring that out, bring out a bit of lever of shame. There we are, coming on. Like a brick now. Bit late starting that descent, but alright. In the realms of what we can do. 3.5 miles to Trent. $16 miles to go to Manchester. So 3,000 feet a minute. So yeah, we're going to be a bit high over Manchester, but it's alright. All is looking good. We'll go lights on nice and early. We'll retract the landing lights. Thank you. And we'll turn them on early as well. Engineers panel's looking good, fuel's good, no warnings. Two and a half miles to Trent. Our accuracy is low, which is why this is saying 2 miles, that's saying 3 miles, 3.7. So that shows you how far out we are with where we think we are, or where the aircraft thinks it is, should I say, and where we actually are. So I'm going to go into heading hold now. Until that VOR needle falls over. Then we'll be turning left onto a radial of 312. Going to reduce our rate of descent here, so we're coming down a bit quick. Now we're getting close to flight level 100. Bit bumpy. Okay, don't need that anymore. So 23, what was it? 312. which is 132. 413. There we are. Overhead Trent now, so that's throwing a hissy fit at us. We'll go to localizer hold. No, we won't, because I was right the first time. It's an outbound radial, isn't it? We were on it. It's a bit bumpy. 4 miles to Manchester. Then we're on a radial of 052. Coming back in on the Trent radial now. So let's, oops. .052. And that is on Manchester 11355. So it would be really useful to have a co-pilot. Oh, it's a bit snowy. Can't quite see Manchester yet. So we can reduce our rate of descent, put a bit of power in. It's up here somewhere. Past these hills, past the peaks. Uh, 1095 is our ILS. I don't actually want it on there, but it's there to remind me the frequency, so I can copy it across. I've picked up Woodford now on the ADF. But I'll leave that on the ADF actually. Now we've got reasonably good visual here, but we are looking for the VOR needle to fall over again, and that's when we know we're overhead Manchester. I think I can see there. Oops, that way. Back onto 312 then. We've come off the nav early actually for the inbound, well, the outbound of Trent, which we probably didn't need to do, but I don't like looking down when I'm hitting the altitude. That's what your co-pilot should be doing, keying in the numbers while you worry about hand flying the aircraft. But easier said than done. And okay, so key in the local QNH, which has actually put us below the intercept altitude. So we'll just climb back up to 3,500. we can go into altitude hold mode. See if we can maintain 250 knots. I'm not expecting to be able to, but there's altitude hold. 8 miles, that is Manchester. So I'm just following the VOR needle at the moment, the direction indicator. You can see the ADF spinning round, that's for Woodford, which is this one here. Taking flat 1 now. There's Manchester there. So swing it right onto 052 and we'll intersect the outbound radial. Call overhead Manchester on Unicom and we'll be on pre-key in my 23 right. Message for final. There's the radial coming in there, so we'll go to lock. So we maintain this outbound radial. We're going to go out to 12.3 DME and then turn left heading 007, which is about there. It's all coming together nicely at the moment. Maintaining altitude 3,500 on the local QNH and 9904. Sorry, 9884. It's 5 DME. Now, as soon as we turn off the radial, that's when I'm going to flick over to the ILS, or well, the localizer frequency for the actual runway rather than the Manchester VOR, and that's on a radial of 233. So here we are, out of Manchester, basically flying. Oh, hello. Easy 17. Hello, I'll do circles, wait for you to land at Manchester. Awesome. Right, that EasyJet's going to wait for us to land. Very nice of him. Thank you very much, Easy17. It's Freddie Pickup in his Airbus A319. There's 11 DME. what we're looking for. We're looking for 12.3. It's actually 12 from the ILS. So we'll do that. We'll turn on heading hold now. Flight director can go to heading. We're going to go for 1095. So 95 and a radial of 233. Could have gone the other way. Two, 3, 3. So just to show you what we're doing then, we've flown out here, we're now on 007, fly north, going to give it 30 seconds or so, and then we'll turn right into set the ILS, or the localizer, should I say. We haven't got ILS. So let's start that turn now. We can start pulling our speed back as well. Now I could, rather than doing heading hold, use the turn controller here to do a standard rate turn, but we'll stick with heading hold. Going to take flap 25 now. I want to be configured before we intercept, which will be at 10 DME. That's standard procedure for a non-precision approach, is that you are fully configured by the intercept or your final approach fix. And we'll take flap 40. Gear down, which clears the warning there. We're not quite turned tight enough, so we'll turn a bit beyond the ILS heading. Don't need to worry about altitude until we hit 10 DME. Probably a bit early actually with flap 40 there, in fact very early. Flaps are quite aggressive in this aircraft. There's the localizer moving. So we can turn on to the localizer now. And we're now more or less captured on the localizer. 5 miles to our final fix. I can see the runway here, which is good. Maintaining about 175 knots-ish. It's pretty good for this aircraft actually. Look how aggressive the flaps and the slats are on this. It's 13 DME. Who's this nutter who's right in front of me? EZ17. Is he doing a procedural approach as well? I thought he said he was holding. Coming up to 10 DME now, so we can arm the auto glide. If it's going to work, which it isn't, so we'll disconnect the elevator. Still not comfortable using the auto glide slope on this thing, and we'll take flaps full. We'll disconnect the autopilot. So we're fully configured, gear is down 3 green. Don't know what happened to EZ17. Oh yeah, I do, he disconnected. So we're doing well, we're doing well. Oh gosh, I've got 3 people watching live. Time to butter the bread. Yes, I know autopilot's disengaged, go away. Thank you. We're a bit high. So know that from looking at the PAPI lights. 3 white, 1 red, which means we're just slightly high of the 3-degree glide slope here in Manchester. Speed's good, 165-ish. Reduce the throttle a bit, which will help us descend back onto the glide. So I'm at about 55% on my throttle on my sticks here. Just trim the aircraft for the new speed. Just a bit to the right of the runway here. I mean, I'm doing visual, but you can see we're slightly, the runway centre line slightly off to the left. Just watching that wind from 230. Now it's on the nose really. Was a bit variable earlier on. Come on, there's a centre line there somewhere. A bit bumpy as well. So speed's coming back 155-ish, 150. It's alright, don't want to dip too much below that. This aircraft does not do slow even with full flap. Two white, 2 red. Finally. Better late than never. Just maintain that descent. Over the numbers. Throttle back. Bit of rudder to straighten us up. As soon as I hear the wheels touch, we'll go spoilers. There's spoilers. Reverse. Not using the brakes just yet. It's quite icy. There's no anti-skid on this aircraft. No auto brake either. And I think we just buttered the bread, boys and girls. Pull up my ground charts. So reverse can get stowed. Can use the brakes. Come off at the high speed exit here. I'm going to call vacated. Appears we're watching a PowerPoint show at the moment with my frame rate. Flaps can come up, spoilers can go away. And we'll just clean up the aircraft a touch. So that can come off. Strobes can come off. Console. That can go to standby. Weather radar can go to standby. Doppler can go to standby. That can go to standby. We're not going to fry anyone now. It's always a bonus. And we will taxi. So we're coming off here at Alpha Foxtrot 1. We'll turn right onto Alpha. And then we'll follow Alpha all the way, and we'll go and park at stand 29er again, where we started yesterday. Put the stabilizer brake on now because we don't need that. Don't need the stab anymore. Don't know what happened to that EasyJet. I think he had a bit of a hoo-ha. So, flight director can come off. Anti-ice can come off now. Keep the fuel heaters on for the moment. So it's a bit nippy out here in Manchester. See snow on the ground and everything. Swing a left here up on Alpha. Oh, is that dude on my spot? No, I don't think he is. No, I think he's further up at Terminal 2. Just controlling the speed with the brakes. We're keeping the throttle where it is. Continuing up on Alpha. Come on, centre line. Swinging a left onto Delta, and I think we've even got a little truck. Oh no, we're not. No, we haven't. 29's just here. So, lights can come off so we don't blind people. Oh, hello. Just try not to take out the sign. tell you what, we'll go round to where there's a thing, which I think is 3-2. No, it's 2-8, which is a medium or small stand, so okay, we'll go on 3-2. For some reason, my UK 2000 Manchester's not loaded, I've just realised. That would certainly help parking if I actually knew where I was. More. There we go. So parking brake. Let's get the sim icons ready. We can connect that and the wheel chocks. We can go over to ground power, and then we can kill the engines. Close the cocks. Pumps can come off. Turbo compressors can come off. Engine bleeds can come off. Doppler can come off. ADFs can come off. INS can come off. Weather radar can come off. Now I can open the doors. Nav radios can come off. And there we are, ladies and gents, back in the lovely Manchester. So, hope you enjoyed that. Hope you learned something about this wonderful classic aircraft. Touchdown 140 feet per minute. That's a bit better, isn't it? Hope you enjoyed the flight, of course. And yeah, if you have any questions about how you fly this thing, setting up the INS, even installing SEVA is a bit of a pain sometimes. Do ask in the comments below. So let's say we're parking today. So that can come off, that can come off. Ground power can come off. And then we can finally turn the battery off and get rid of that annoying noise. There we go. So I'll try and figure out why UK 2000 Manchester's not loaded. We'll get another flight. If you've got a flight request you would like me to do in the classics or any other aircraft for that matter, preferably BA, but doesn't have to be. Do put that in the comments below. But until next time, Have a very enjoyable rest of your week, and all the best for 2018, of course. Ta-ra!